Hello and welcome back to the channel. I feel like it's been so long since I've done one of these, even though it's only been like about a month. But here we are. I've got a lot of updates, I guess. I'm going to be real with you guys. I am recording this on the 24th because I got kind of like a last minute work thing. Normally I try to push this off as close to the end of the month as possible so that I can actually have all the photos that I shot in a given month at the very end. But I kind of have to get this out there early because I'm going to be away out of the state for 2 weeks traveling around for work. And also, just to be completely transparent, normally I kind of like script these things out a little bit. I know it might seem like I don't, a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, but normally I at least kind of have some idea of what I'm going to say about each photograph. But in this one, I'm just going to go off the cuff and we're going to talk about my month of January 2025. Before we talk about the photos, though, I do want to mention a few things that are changes in my life and in regard to this channel. This channel is still a top priority for me in many ways. But if you didn't hear, I have an entirely new YouTube channel. You can see it right up here. I'm going to put the thumbnail for the video, but you can watch the video. The link will be in the description, and the link for my new channel will be in the description as well. I have a whole new channel where I'm talking about movies. It's about like my love of the film industry and cinema, and it really has been a joy to be making that channel as well in tandem with this channel. And I feel like they're kind of two sides of my personality. So what you get here is, I feel like, often a very sort of polished, professional approach to making content, making YouTube videos. And over there, it's a little bit less polished, I would say. But it is also about another one of my loves, which is cinema. So if anyone out here loves cinema, then definitely go check out that channel. And let's talk about movies, because I love talking about movies. But today, we're not talking about moving images. We're talking about still images. And we're going to be talking about, in particular, 5 photos from January of 2025 that I am really, really proud of. Before we talk about my top 5 of the month, let's go ahead and take a look over the kitty corner, because I know I have a bunch of photos of my cats. So let's go take a look at that. Wasn't that delightful? The first kitty corner of 2025. Pretty exciting. I'm very excited to see how many photos I take of them in 2025. I'm off to an incredible start so far. Up first, we're going to take a look at this photo of my girlfriend's sister's dog. This photo was taken on Ilford HP5 in the Pentax K1000. So this is a photo that initially I was like, I'm not going to put this in my top 5. It's also kind of a weird one to start out with because it is, out of focus and it's very close up. But, the more I was running through all of the photos of the month, all the photos that I've taken this month, the more this one kind of stood out to me because it was a bit of a lesson in loving a photograph despite its maybe technical deficiencies, its technical flaws, maybe. The fact that it's out of focus, the fact that it is not a very deliberately composed photograph is normally something that bothers me. Taking pictures of this dog, his name is Tito, by the way. I don't know if he's named after the alcohol. That's possible. Anyway, he is a scamp who loves to run around, and Harley and I go up to visit Harley's mom and sister quite often. And man, when I tell you, I am Tito's best friend because he loves the crap out of me. But he runs around nonstop, and it's very hard to get him to sit still. Hence the reason why this photo is so out of focus. But I think the thing that appeals to me the most about this photo is that the emotion still shines through, even despite all of those technical deficiencies, technical flaws. We get this deep look into Tito's eyes, and there is just this unbridled joy that I feel like he brings with him. He's just such a bright, fun-loving dog, and I think even in this photo, you get a glimpse at that. And that's one of the reasons why this had to be in my top 5. Photos don't have to be perfectly pristine to be memorable and to be important to you. This photo was taken on Kodak Color Plus in the Nikon F3. So you may have seen it earlier this month. I believe it was 2 weeks prior to when this video comes out, that I got myself a Nikon F3. Let me see if I could find it. Hold on. Okay, I got it. It was in the other room. So here is my new Nikon F3 that I bought off of Facebook Marketplace. And I am not going to tell you too much about my thoughts about this camera. I made a whole preview video that I think everyone should check out. There will be a full review of this camera at some point, probably next month or the month after. Yeah, I've had a lot of fun testing it out and using it. I've probably put 2 or 3 rolls through it, and it's been doing pretty good. Again, I'm not going to try to spoil my opinions, but here's another photo of Tito in the snow. I took it at the same time that I took the previous photo. And, like I said, he runs around constantly, so it's very hard to get him to sit still. And, I know I was just talking about the value of not expecting precision and valuing a photograph based on, or that has imperfections in it. But in this one, I felt like I really, really nailed the focus. It seems like I was most likely at a pretty wide open aperture, or maybe like a 5.6 or something like that. I was shooting color plus, but I was overexposing using the exposure compensation on here. As I found in that preview video, it kind of seems like I do need to do a little bit of exposure compensation when shooting in here. So I was probably shooting it at 100 ISO, and it was pretty cloudy. So I had to be open pretty much around like a 5.6 or a 4. So we get this nice shallow depth of field. And just like the snow on his nose, I think it's just the most perfect detail. I think it really, really like sells this image. And I think it really brings the joy of this image out completely, because without that snow on the nose, this is just any other photo of a dog, but you really get a bit of a story with this photograph. He was really digging his nose in the snow there. And I don't know. I really like this one, just sort of as a bit of like the other side of the coin of the previous photo. The previous photo, we see maybe this like imperfection, maybe this not so great composition. And not that I think that this composition is that spectacular. I think maybe I could have been a little bit higher up and not had his head be blending into the tree line there in the background. But we do get these layers, it is a pretty dynamic image in terms of its balance and its focus and its subject matter. And that's why I love this photo. And yeah. This photo was taken on Kodak Ektar 100 in the Bronica SQ-AI. So this has been a tricky month for me going out and photographing. Not only do I hate going out in the cold, but I've been doing a lot of sort of work on my computer, a lot of stuff where I've had to remain indoors, and that means I haven't been able to go out and shoot as much as I would like to. In particular, I haven't shot that much medium format. I think I've only shot 1 roll of medium format in the last like month and a half, maybe 2 months. But this is a photo of my cat Kirby sitting on a windowsill in my bedroom, and her brother Pierre hang out on this windowsill all the time, looking out the window. And I had this roll of Ektar in my camera that I just needed to finish off. So usually when I have to finish off a roll that I'm shooting, I just kind of wander around my apartment, follow my cats around, and take photos of them. They are really the best subjects for when I have like 5 shots left on a roll and I want to drop it off because I'm going away for a week or something like that. So I just take those 5 photos of them and then drop it off. And yeah, this was probably my best. I shot this on the 50 millimeter that I have for the Bronica. Let's see. Do I have it here? I have the Zenzinon S series lens for the Bronica, and I shot it on there. And I love that I was able to get this sort of wide angle that I also have the 80 millimeter lens for this camera. And I don't really often shoot with the 50 mil on this camera, but I think I really got to start doing it, especially in indoor settings. It's not really something I usually mess around with. Normally I'm sticking on the 80 mil and it's a little bit tighter. It's a bit closer to like a 50 mil equivalent on 35 millimeter. Yeah, I really love this image. I love taking pictures of my cats, as you probably all know by now. And I don't really have much else to say like compositionally. I do think that having these sort of like intersecting diagonal lines, as well as the sort of the arabesque of Pierre's curved spine and just the look on her face, I love taking photos of my cats because they are so expressive and they just always seem to have some sort of human emotion going on behind the eyes. And this is another example of that. Not much more to say about it. You know how much I love my cats, so I am going to continue taking photos of my cats until the end of time. This photo was taken on Kentmere Pan 100 in the Nikon F3. This was a photo that I took in the very first roll that I shot through the Nikon F3. And you can see all of those photos in the preview video, as I mentioned. And this photo, I guess, stood out to me in that whole series of photos. If I just go back and go through some of the other photos, I'll throw a bunch up here from that whole roll that I shot. I walked all around Brooklyn, and then I went to Prospect Park. I made a whole day of it. You could watch the whole video. I think it's a really, really wonderful video and a good sort of preview into the camera's capabilities and things that I need to consider when shooting the Nikon F3. But yeah, over at Prospect Park, there's always these geese that hang out, and they're very easy to photograph. They're very people friendly. And yeah, so I was just taking photos of a bunch of geese. And this one I think I like in particular just for this sort of like minimalism of it. You'll also notice by now in the video that there's a bit of an animal theme going on. Unfortunately, I break that theme in the next photograph, but we'll get to that in a second. But just sort of placing the goose in the center of the frame and the gradients of the water, the ripples of the water, the smoothness of the water, it all just kind of works for me. And holding on to this sort of like calmness. Sometimes I go into photography for a sense of calm. And oftentimes when I'm doing photography for like a YouTube channel, I'm not incredibly calm because parts of it turn into like a bit of a job. Again, that's a bit of a peek behind the curtain into my mentality with all of this stuff. But sometimes I feel the pressure to create content. And so it takes the serenity out of it a little bit. And when I look back on the photographs, I think I can sort of extract the serenity from them, from the moment, even if I wasn't feeling it in the moment. I also love that we're getting the reflection of this goose in the water. It has this nice sort of symmetrical feeling to it. Like if you were to bisect this photograph not down the center, but across the center horizontally, then, you know, they would almost be in some ways symmetrical. Yeah. Again, not too much. Oh, I got a friend coming to visit. Hello, Kirby. We just talked about you in the last photo. Isn't that exciting? Yeah. She's so excited. You can't tell, but she's excited. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about this goose photo. Kirby, do you have anything to say about the goose photo? Nope. She's playing the quiet game right now. I don't know why. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. This photo was taken on Ilford HP5 in the Pentax K1000. So in the last few photo recaps that I did, and I think my recap for like end of 2024, I talked about how I've been trying to go out and view life with a little bit more of a humorous edge to it, or take photographs that I think are funny or that point out something about existence that is just a little bit more lighthearted. I think it's so easy to be bogged down with negativity these days. I'm not even gonna get into it, but every now and then I see something that just makes me smile. And there are moments where it doesn't feel right to document the things that make us smile because it almost maybe sucks the joy of living out of it. It makes it more about the image than it does about the moment. And this was a little sign that I saw on a tree here in Brooklyn. I was walking back to my apartment, and I'll read it to you just in case you might be watching this on your phone or something. You might not be able to read it entirely. It says, "Please don't poop in our tree and don't pee in our tree. You can give it air kisses, but not real kisses because it will make your mouth dirty. And don't let dogs lick it. Don't put trash." From someone 4 years old. So a 4-year-old apparently wrote this. He's got incredible penmanship. I don't actually think that the 4-year-old wrote this. That can't be true. I think that probably the parents of this 4-year-old were dictating, or he was dictating, and they were writing it down. And, something about it just gave me this giddy joy. I have a 4-year-old niece, and sometimes hearing her like babble and just talk and talk I could sit there and listen to it for hours. And in reading this little note pinned to this tree gave me that same feeling. I obviously don't know this 4-year-old, but I was just like, you know what? Tell me more, because I want to. I want to hear all of this kid's thoughts, and there is a certain part of me that's like, when we're experiencing joy, it's like we're going back to this sort of like animalistic impulse as a child to when everything was fresh and new. And yeah, I don't know. I love the idea that like you can give it air kisses, but not real kisses because it will make your mouth dirty. That's when I really knew I had to take a photo of this and not feel bad about documenting how happy it made me. Yeah, I just want to take this as an opportunity to note and suggest to people out there not to be threatened by the idea of ruining a moment by photographing it or documenting it. I think that there is sometimes this nihilistic, cynical approach to life where people are like, if you go to a concert, you don't have to film the whole thing. I agree, don't film the whole thing, but like, don't feel bad about taking your phone out once or twice and documenting it, just so, you could look back on it. I know people are always like, who's actually looking back at photographs that they take at concerts? Sometimes I just scroll through my camera roll on my phone and I find a photograph and I'm like, oh yeah, look at that. It's a Modest Mouse show that I went to 3 years ago or whatever. So, don't be afraid to document these things, because I'm glad that I took a photo of this, and I'm glad I was able to read it to all of you and experience all of that joy one more time. Even if I never look at this photograph again, at least I got to experience the joy of reading it out loud to a bunch of strangers on the internet. And that's going to do it for my month of January 2025. Like I said, this is not typically how I make these videos. This was a bit of a impromptu thing because I'm going on a work trip. I should be back to my regularly scheduled programming in February, although the next 2 weeks of my life have gotten pretty busy pretty quick. So I'm going to try to have some good stuff for you guys in February. And I hope you all are doing okay. Don't forget to check out my second channel. Don't forget to maybe check out my novella that I self-published and I made a video about. You can check that out here if you're interested in reading work, reading literature from YouTubers on the internet. I put a lot of hard work into it, and I'm very, very proud of this novella. Go check out that video. I really would appreciate it. I hope everyone is doing okay out there, and yeah, I'll see you all on the next one.